Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Entre News. I'm Dr. J.D. LaRock, the president and CEO of NFTE, the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, and I'm very pleased to welcome two guests who are joining me today about our long-standing and growing relationship with Certiport, and to talk about the value of certifications in the educational system today. Craig Bushman is the general manager, and Nich Haber is the director of STEM and CTE at Certiport. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Let's get right into it. First of all, please tell our viewers about what Certiport does and each of your roles there. Craig, let's start with you.
Well, Certiport is a company that validates individuals' skills and knowledge in preparation for their success in college and career. So we've been around for about 28 years, and we've offered the certification programs for many of IT's largest clients, such as Microsoft, Adobe, Autodesk, and others. And kind of our philosophy is a learn, practice, certify model, which we've found over time to be a very successful model for teachers, which is providing the curriculum and practice tests that align to industry recognized certifications that students can walk out of their classroom proud that they have validated their skills and can prove to an employer and to themselves that they have the skills to be successful in today's economy. I'm the general manager of Certiport. I've been here for about 14 years, spent 23 years prior to that in the software world. And that was a great experience. Software is awesome to see the productivity of businesses, but seeing the productivity of individuals, which the education does, is a whole new level and personally very rewarding.
Fantastic. Nich, how about your role? We've gotten to know each other very well. Tell our viewers about what you do at Certiport.
Thanks, JD. So my role, I'm a director of STEM and CTE at Certiport. That's career and technical education. So I'm responsible for bringing on new programs. I mean, Certiport is really at its heart an upskilling company, and we focus on bringing together stakeholders in terms of employers, educators, and government officials, and finding that sweet spot where individuals can learn the skills they need to become employable, and government can see and trust the level that that folks are being trained to, so that they'll fund the education programs. In my role here, director of STEM and CTE, I'm responsible for bringing on new programs, and so I've built relationships with companies like Apple and the Project Management Institute and Intuit, Meta most recently, and they oversaw the development of the Entrepreneurship and Small Business Certification ESB, which is what brought us together.
I want to get into that specifically, but first, gentlemen, I'd like you to expand a little bit more on the issue of certifications and why you think at this time in American education and also education throughout the world that certifications are of greater interest to students and to educators and education systems. What is different and special about them, in your view, that makes them valuable as compared to more traditional forms of assessing knowledge and skills? Craig?
Well, first of all, industry is constantly changing, and certification validates, or really it's a bridge between academic learning and industry requirements. So an employer can be reassured that the skills that a student is bringing to the table to their business, which are validated by an industry recognized certification, are relevant to their productivity and their needs today. I remember when I was in college and I was a broadcast management media sales major, and I took a class on evaluating radio ratings. It was a really hard class. I went into, right out of college, a new career in broadcasting. And those skills that I had learned were so irrelevant, so old, that they laughed at me because they said, I can't believe they're still teaching you that. What we're trying to do today is ensure that the CTE students have the relevant skills to make themselves and the businesses they work for productive. And especially in entrepreneurship, we're seeing younger and younger students become entrepreneurs. The internet is a great tool for anybody to be able to sell anywhere in the world now. But most students, they see the dollar signs, but they don't realize all the back end that's required with tax laws and everything that you need to know to be productive. That's what I think we're doing with industry recognized certifications, particularly with our ESB program, is giving them that foundation of understanding what they need to do to be successful. And it's relevant to the technologies, the laws, the methodologies, the 21st century skills require.
Nich, let's dig into a little bit deeper on the entrepreneurship certification specifically. Craig got us started with some of the skills and the value proposition that such a certification can demonstrate. What are some of the other things that somebody on the outside, an employer, a bank, other people might say, okay, you've got this certification. That means I know that you know and can do X, Y, and Z. What are those things that you find the certification signals and signifies?
One of the most sought after commodities in our society today is trust, right? All the stakeholders coming to this, you want to trust that the other parties are doing what they're doing. And just to add on to what Craig was saying about the value of the certification, that's what we're bringing, right? We work with employers to define what it means to have the skills and knowledge that are needed to be employable. And then we share that with educators and students, and they appreciate that. They want to make sure that their students are going to be able to get those jobs out on the market. What we see happening is the role of an industry recognized certification is taking on a much more important role in terms of funding from government or from private institutions. The ESB certification is a great example, right? Other certifications, whether you're Microsoft certified or Amazon Web Service certification, that's a standard value there as an individual would get that certification and then show it to their potential employer to get that job. But if you want to get an entrepreneurship certification, that's a weird idea, right? Why would I, as an individual, want to get certified to show myself that I'm employable? Like I said, the role of an industry recognized certification is morphed where funding for education is being tied to trusted outcomes in education. And so what we've seen all over the place in high schools with Perkins funding is getting tied to the attainment of a certification. And then, what we're seeing with this new opportunity that we're working together internationally, we're seeing individuals who will get certified will get rewards from banking institutions for that certification. And that'll come in various ways, whether it could be seed funding in a bank account or a loan that they wouldn't normally be able to get.
Fantastic. Could each of you say a little bit more about the process of working hand in hand with employers and working hand in hand with education officials to ensure that these certifications are responsive to the needs of employers and industry and are responsive to the needs of education policymakers and leaders? How about Craig? You talk about it from the employer side, and Nich, you can talk about it from the education policymaker side. What does that conversation look like? What does that process look like of engagement?
We do a semi-annual survey of employers on the value of certifications to their business. There's an interesting study given by the Center for Digital Education in which they surveyed both employers and education institutions on the value to students. In the most recent survey, they were asked, what is the value that students are coming out of school with and how relevant it is to industry? Well, 72% of colleges and universities in the United States that were surveyed indicated that they felt like they were teaching the relevant skills for success for students, that they were ready for those career paths. Only 42% of the employers agreed with that. That's a significant gap between education and employers in the right skills needed to do the right job. Almost everybody who's going to put together a resume is going to put in their resume proficient in Microsoft Office, because Microsoft Office is so ubiquitous in industry. It's relevant to almost every industry. Well, there is a difference between proficiency and proven. And that's what certifications do, is they prove the validation of those skills for employers. We did a success story just recently in the state of Illinois. there was a significant skills gap in some of automotive industries local to the suburbs of Chicago. And so they partnered with a local high school, local community college, and trained students on the relevant certifications necessary for that local economy to thrive. And that's a great example of education matching with industry to say, all right, we've got our STEM classes, but are they the right STEM classes to feed into our local economy for them to provide jobs and to be productive? And that was a great success story of college, local K-12, and industry coming together, which really should happen everywhere. And so the certifications, we're starting to see more and more students a little resistant to full four-year degree careers. If somebody's going to go into a particular career path and they're forced to take humanities or other things that, you know, are probably good for a well-rounded person, but with the cost of education now in higher ed, do they really want to spend all that money? Certifications are a way to have a quick path of proven skills to maybe shorten the life cycle of higher ed. Even more importantly, most of our certifications are accredited by the American Council on Education, or ACE, which gives credit hours per certification. That gives students a faster path to graduation in higher ed and a cheaper tuition because they've received those education credentials before they even got to college oftentimes.
Nich, I know you worked very, very hard to ensure that the entrepreneurship and small business certification was officially recognized in Florida for this very important list of certifications that are deemed by the state authorities as being high quality. What did it take to get there, for Certiport to get there, for the ESB to get included on that list?
Well, you said the magic word when you set up this question initially for Craig, and that was engagement, right? We engaged with experts in entrepreneurship, and that's how we met NFTE, right? We connected with NFTE because we didn't see ourselves as the expert in entrepreneurship. We're the experts in building certification programs, but we wanted to bring the experts to the table. And it was really important for us to have government representatives at the table so that they could see the quality of what we were building together. So we did engage, at first we engaged with folks from the Louisiana Department of Education, and then later Florida. So we had the Chancellor of CTE for Florida sit with us, with representatives of NFTE, with employers, with workforce board members, with other experts in education space and entrepreneurship space. And we also got to know the chancellor and asked him, what did he see? What was kind of the delta between what we had built for the ESB and what his vision of it was, what he saw happening in Florida. And he spelled out there were things happening in Florida. There were questions that why businesses were not successful in Florida. And we interviewed business leaders and entrepreneurship leaders, and they all came down to 3 or 4 things that we recognized we needed to build into the ESB certification. And when we did that, we earned the trust of the Florida DOE, and they really went to bat to get entrepreneurship onto the Florida CAPE list, which drove a lot of activity for the program. And we've seen tens of thousands, probably over 100,000 students learn entrepreneurship in Florida that wouldn't have had that not been put into place.
We at NFTE, of course, can attest to this. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, I got the latest numbers for the Florida students that were engaging, and it's many thousands. In fact, Florida now accounts for far and away significant plurality of the students we serve in the whole U.S. And I'll say that the opportunity to give our programs and to have students sit for the ESB certification is the primary driver of this. In counties like Broward County, we're now educating thousands and thousands of students each year, and they're being prepared to achieve this certification at the end of their course. Where do you both think this is going next? Clearly, in some pockets of the country, there is a great deal of buy-in for this way of doing things. Where does this go from here, Nich?
Like you said, it's win-win-win all around for everybody. Students want to learn entrepreneurship. Teachers want to teach it. Communities want more new businesses starting up and creating jobs. And the connector is having that trust in the outcomes of the education so that people can go on and do these things. And so by having that, the sky's the limit. I mean, we're seeing the growth in Florida is phenomenal, but we're seeing that in many, many states across the country. And now, we're seeing some really great opportunities for us internationally with this program. And the ESB program's been already translated, localized into over a dozen countries, and we're looking to roll out even more because of this new relationship that we have.
Craig, you, I, and Nich were together recently at the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Conference. Global interest in this is also clearly growing. What do you think are the reasons why?
The economies are expanding throughout the world, and entrepreneurship is a key player in that. And working with organizations like yourselves, we feel are extremely valuable in raising the awareness of what is the possibility of success for students globally, especially in underdeveloped markets, when they can realize my chances of working for a multinational company in West Africa are probably not that great. But if I have the skills necessary to run and start my own business and understand those foundational elements, they can have that success. One of the things that provides individuals with certifications more than anything is self-confidence. And that's what we're really selling, is skills and self-confidence, that they don't put a limit on themselves. Understanding those foundational elements are key. People say, well, are you a certification company or what? Well, we're really a skilling company. Certifications help validate the skills that individuals walk away with. And so, we talk about the success in Florida. The success that we see often starts in legislatures, where they get the vision of what the impact can be to individual students when they invest in STEM education, when they see the career and technical education legislative policies that help ensure that the funding is there that provides relevant skills for today's workforce. There are states that are really preparing their citizens for today's economy with the relevant skills and talents necessary to be successful.
It's definitely my hope that more and more states look at what some leading states are doing in this regard, because like I said, the ability for NFTE to deliver our programs to communities that haven't had the benefit of entrepreneurship education has clearly been facilitated by the value proposition that being able to sit for the certification and achieve the certification provides. Well, I have one last question for the both of you, and it's more about you as people. But it's related to certification and what we teach. So at NFTE, we're very big on the entrepreneurial mindset and its components, characteristics like creativity, adaptability, comfort with risk, and opportunity recognition. Craig, what qualities have been essential to you? You're very successful in what you do. What entrepreneurial mindset qualities have been essential to you in your own professional journey?
For me personally, somebody was talking about, when did you first start business? And I said it was selling popcorn when I was age 5 at the bus stop when kids got off the bus. And part of it is my mindset is it's a need. You need to know how to become self-reliant. You need to know what the skills are so that you don't depend upon external circumstances, but you can control your future. And so one of the mindsets is understanding that you can control your future with the right education and skills. But second, perhaps one of the most key and important things is communication, building networks of trust with other people, and understanding the communication skills that are important to communicate your ideas, your abilities, and building the networks of trust. I gave a talk recently at one of our conferences about my career path, and I said the education was so important. Perhaps the greater part of my education, which was self-taught, was building relationships of trust with others, with networking with other people. So that's where most of my job opportunities came from, is networking with other people and building those relationships.
Nich, how about you? What entrepreneurial mindset characteristics have been drivers in your own life and professional journey?
for me, comfort with risk and communications are two. And I'll use an example of how we built the relationship with Nifty, right? I got out of my comfort zone and went to New York City and went to the Nifty Gala because I knew I wanted to meet with Nifty. I wanted to form a partnership with Nifty and just put myself out there on my own. Went and started talking with as many Nifty people as I could. And the communication was key, right? I had to be able to tell them exactly who I was, what I want, what my goals were, and how I wanted to partner with Nifty. And I met some really great Nifty people that got it and were willing to connect. So those are the two areas. And I also teach entrepreneurship at Johnson & Wales as an adjunct. And one of my classes, I just said, all right, we're not meeting today. Everybody go do something that you've never done before, because I really wanted my students to learn about having that comfort and risk. And it's different for everybody. And so I had one student that went to a museum because she had never been to a museum before, and that was something different for her. I had another student who shaved off her eyebrows, right? So that was a very different thing. So what your level of comfort with risk is going to be different for you, but it's a really important trait for success to cultivate.
I'm glad that you took a risk and reached out to Nifty those years ago, because it's really led to a very fruitful partnership. And viewers and listeners, I want you to know, especially if you are part of an education system or a state policymaker, what we have built here in partnership together between Certiport and Nifty really is providing immense value for students. And I encourage you, if you haven't already, to really get educated about the value of certifications like the Entrepreneurship and Small Business Certification, because we can attest to all the great things it's facilitating for students and their futures. Nich and Craig, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your expertise with our viewers and listeners. Everybody, this is the final episode. Thanks so much for being with us through all the episodes this season, and we will look forward to seeing you next season when the school year resumes. Take care.